Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today we're diving into the upcoming crowdfunding campaigns for the month of June. And there are a lot to go through today, so much so that I will not be going into the level of detail I usually do on all of these. I still do have a lot of notes on a bunch of them, and others I'll be going right past after commenting on how pretty the box looks and whatever little bit I know about the campaign. There's a lot. There's a lot of games I'm interested in. There's a lot of games. We'll go through it. There's going to be links and timestamps to everything down below. And with that, we're going to start off with our usual bit, which is a reminder to go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter. I do these videos once a month. At the beginning of every month, I go ahead, or the end of every month, I go ahead and talk about the upcoming month and talk about all the games coming up and all the things and all that stuff. And it's great and it's helpful, except it's only once a month. And because it's only once a month, it means I'm missing two things. I'm missing the most up-to-date information as campaigns change, push off, campaigns get added, all of that. And it also means that even though I'm going through so many campaigns today, that's still after not covering everything. I usually choose not to cover things that are not as popular, not as well known, because I'm trying to fit it all into a single video. If you want both of those things, the most up-to-date information as well as all the campaigns covered, or at least more than I'm covering, then make sure to go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter. Every single week, Adam goes ahead and covers all the upcoming crowdfunding campaigns for that week, which means he has the most up-to-date information, as well as covers more campaigns because of the nature of doing it weekly as opposed to monthly. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into it, although of course, next disclaimer over here, or first disclaimer, please keep in mind that I do work for GameFound as I go through this video. This is inherently a crowdfunding awareness video. Just take into account that I am CMO of GameFound as we go through this. And with that, let's go ahead and start off. These are going to be going through an order of when they are coming up in the month. I won't be saying the dates at every single point, but generally you're looking at the first week of June, the second week of June, and so on and so forth. And let's go ahead and start off with the first one, which is Ada's Dream from Alley Cat Games. This one looks intriguing, a combination of the fact that it's Alley Cat Games, who generally puts out well-received games. It's a medium-heavy Euro game, and also it has a dice rondel mechanism. I like rondels in general. And then lastly, it's a themed around Ada Lovelace and the first mechanical computer, which the combination of those things, the theme, the mechanics, and the company, all definitely have me interested in this one. I am intrigued to see more, and we'll find out when it comes to Kickstarter, well, soon. Then we have Clash D-Day Special Edition. As usual, I'm not as into war game themed games, so usually I don't have as much to talk about these over here, but if you are interested in this one, Clash D-Day Edition, we have 2,000 people already following the campaign, launching very shortly from Elwyn Kopp over here. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Art looks fine, a little bit more cartoonish, makes it a drop more appealing for me. I'm just not interested in the World War II theme, and cartoon stuff does help make it a slightly more appealing. But past that, game looks intriguing. That's going to be Clash D-Day Edition. You can check that out. We also have Agemonia, one I definitely know a lot about. Agemonia is a game I thoroughly enjoy. Disclaimer, we've done sponsored Board Game Co. has done sponsored content around a series of playthroughs for this game. I hope to have a review coverage for this one up before the campaign ends. I'm still going through it though, so as of right now, well, right now you can, I'll tell you that I can definitely enjoy the game a lot. I've been a big fan of the game since I first played the prototype way back in the day, but definitely enjoying it more, having dove into it even more, but I do need to get a review out at some point, hopefully before the campaign ends. But Agemonia is going to be a campaign game from the publisher of Eclipse, from Lottopoly. They have it's a fully cooperative campaign game that's not too long, not too overbearing. It is fail forward. It has character progression. It has a lot of a good combination of of combat, of story, and campaign, all mixed together in terms of how it operates. I really enjoy this one. Very different, very accessible. If you check out the campaign, the various content creators who've covered this game, there seems to be a lot of love for this game, but it hasn't yet hit that critical reception. That's going to be Agemonia coming shortly. We also have Tiny Tables, which I feel I first heard about this campaign over a year ago, but it's finally launching in 5 days. 3,000 people following the campaign. This is not one in which you will be getting a board game table to properly deal with while playing board games, but it is a great way and opportunity to go ahead and store components. This is literally tiny tables. That's what it is. It's a bunch of tiny tables. They could be dice trays. Like look, this one over here is being disassembled sort of and put on its like, you know, no legs in the middle of Star Wars Outer Rim. That should give you an idea of the size. It could be a dice tray, it could be a table, it could be a component holder, or it could just be that adorable thing when you're like, hey buddy, I have a board game table too, and you pull out your board game table and people are less impressed than they thought they would be, but it is funny. Then we have over here, we have Mythic Battles Isfet. Mythic Battles Isfet from Monolith Games. Disclaimer, Board Game Co. is doing sponsored content around this game. But Mythic Battles over here is, well, it's the newest version of Mythic Battles. They have Mythic Battles Ragnarok, they have Mythic Battles Pantheon, the original, and they have Mythic Battles Isfet. And I don't know, frankly, I'm not sure if they have Ragnarok over here as something different, so to speak. So basically Mythic Battles Ragnarok and Isfet and all of that. But this basically continuing the line of the Mythic Battles series of games. A skirmish game that effectively is going to give you the ability to draft an army from gods, from titans, from heroes and monsters, putting them together, and then going head to head as you roll dice back and forth and try to take control of the various divine stones in the game. Each game has a different version of the divine stone. Very tactical back and forth skirmish game, and this is going to be launching shortly on Kickstarter. We also have over here, we have Pillars of Hercules. This is when I talked to Heracles. We talked about this one last month, so I won't heavily go into this one in detail, but Pillars of Hercules should be launching shortly. I believe they pushed off the launch date from, well, May to June 4th over here, so that should be launching shortly. We have Valerius, a game of interstellar warfare and bluffing your opponents, coming to you from Boss Dog Games. This is going to be, well, a degree of negotiation, bluffing your opponents, trying to figure out whether you're going to be working together or working against each other as you secretly play cards and deal with the consequences and ramifications of your actions. We then have Paw of Duty over here. Command a kitty squad to regain control of a war-torn city. Don't know a lot about this one. I am curious about the art. The interesting thing is, and Derek, I apologize if this is not AI art. I apologize for even putting the idea in people's heads. I do find AI art has a very specific look and feel to it very often, not always. And this more heavily cartoonized approach is something that does tend to feel a bit more AI adjacent, which is interesting because, again, I'm not even someone who's that against AI art. I have a more of a nuanced take in it where I do think it is potentially dangerous and has things that we should be very mindful of, but I'm not also as confident that it's inherently wrong. Conversation of a different day, but even as someone who falls into that camp, I still find myself AI wary. Like, just do I want to get involved in that? And again, Derek, I'm not saying it's AI art, so I don't know. I apologize if I'm putting that inappropriately into people's heads. I would say if you are concerned about that, obviously do your own research, just look into it. Like Board Game Co., like we'll still cover AI games. I'm not inherently against it. I am mindful around the games that exist. So it's more of a mindfulness than an against the thing. But Paw of Duty, the cat does look cute, but it is it's Call of Duty, Paw of Duty. Paw of Duty, the cat looks cute, but I'm also intrigued with the game past that. Then we have Bunny Boom. Bunny Boom by Grem over here. This is again by Ruse Games. This is another Board Game Co. did do sponsored content around this game, but Bunny Boom is going to have a bunch of bunnies spreading throughout the villages as the players try to mindfully manage those bunnies, place cards, and pass the bunnies to their opponents to score as few points as possible from, well, as few bunnies as possible in the game. Then we have coming up next, we have 2GM Tactics, another war game that I don't know a ton about from Draco Ideas. They've had a bunch of games, both war game themed and otherwise. We then as well have Meeple Keepers, and this one I can't tell if it's an actual component so much as digital files, because it says digital files to store your games in the most user-friendly way with horizontal storage. So I think it's just 3D printing stuff, but I'm also not certain about that. But then again, 2,000 people following the campaign, you can go ahead and check that out and see if it's a game for you. Seems similar to the oh my gosh, what's the gaming system that has, there's a gaming system that has this kind of thing, but I can't remember the name of it. So I'm going to move on. Anyways, we have 7 Citadel. 7 Citadel is going to be launching as well. Another June 4th campaign. The first half of this video is going to be June 4th, and then from there, we'll figure out what else changes as we go through it. But June 4th, we have 7 Citadel launching. This is going to be a returns to Kickstarter. It looks like it has a little module, like the first garden, I believe, and everything else is more reprint and reprint content to make it more available for you. So those of you who have missed out on 7 Citadel, this is your chance to go ahead and dive into it. And again, Board Game Co. will be doing a sponsored gameplay around this campaign. Then we have over here, oh, and I didn't really talk about the game because I kind of assume you all know, 7 Citadel. It's a game which you're going to be exploring. It's a game which you are diving into the story. You're going to be starting off, well, I don't want to spoil things for you, but you're starting off in a situation. You have to get yourself out of the situation. There's going to be engaging with characters. There's a legacy element. There's going to be an encampment to a degree, progression. There's going to be a lot of exploration. It builds off the original 7th continent and then builds it a bit more first person in the way the narrative is approached, as well as a lot of the additional elements that the game provided for more complex actions, from engaging with characters, from narrative choices you're making, and from building up and having a degree of legacy encampment kind of that you're going through. So it builds off the structure of 7th Continent, a giant exploration game with a lot of decisions, survival, and all that going on in the game. Then we have over here, we have the Apothecary, the Culinary Alchemists. 7,000 people following this campaign. I didn't know a thing about this campaign until I saw it right now while doing this video. The game looks adorable, I'll say that, but I don't know much about it past the little, like, you know, forge resources, brew elixirs, and bake cakes of salvation to heal adventurers on the brink of doom in this 1 to 4 player game. Sounds intriguing, cute art, 7,000 people following the campaign. Like, I wonder, is this a video game? Like, what's the, I don't know the reason for the 7,000 people, unless it's just a good ad spend and a very cute looking game. But either way, intrigued about this one. We have Fantasy Adventures, game Light and Darkness. Going to be launching over here from Cooper Games. Again, don't know a lot about this one, unfortunately, but you can check out more on the campaign page over here. We also have the Fall, we have Sovereign, the Fall, oh, there's Kickstarter again. We have Sovereign, the Fall of Wormwood, a sci-fi tactical card game for 2 to 4 players with gorgeous art and a rich detailed world. Fight, bluff, or negotiate your way to victory. With 3,000 people following the campaign. Then we have over here on Kickstarter, we have a combination of things. We have Santa's Workshop Deluxe, Elf Creek Story Puzzles, and then probably the highlight, Merchants of the Dark Road Secret Villages, an expansion to Merchants of the Dark Road from Elf Creek Games. Merchants of the Dark Road, one of the most gorgeous productions I've ever seen well, I mean, it's available on Kickstarter, it's coming soon. In this expansion and reprint campaign, along with Santa's Workshop, which I believe was not on Kickstarter, was on retail only, and they are putting out a deluxe version of it. I think it's a deluxe version. It says deluxe, and that seems to be deluxe. And then we have Elf Creek Story and Puzzles as well. And then we have over on GameFound, we have Grimcoven. Grimcoven from Awakened Realms. This one's going to be launching shortly. This one is, well, again, I think it's at June. I don't think this is June 4th. I think it's June 6th, if I'm not mistaken. But we have Grimcoven is going to be a 1-to-4 player game of boss hunting and almost roguelite kind of elements. You're going to be combining a story, you're going to be combining the story, the scenario you're playing as, the boss you're playing against, the minions, the elite minions, and your characters, and of course the varied way you're going to build and develop your characters across this 2 to 3 hour adventure in which you are both leveling up constantly while trying to take down the boss who is, scary and hurts you a lot, but you're trying to survive that while dealing with the flood of minions along the way. A very interesting survival / roguelite / boss battler. That's going to be Grimcoven from Awakened Realms. We also have over here, we have Operation Barclay from Salt and Pepper Games. In general, Salt and Pepper, they've been consistently putting out these small box games that have generally been very well received. I don't have a lot of information about this one yet, but in general, just from the games they've been putting out, I'm already intrigued by anything that Salt and Pepper puts out. They always look very distinct, they feel very distinct, there's a 2-player game over here. Overall, they've been doing a great job at consistently putting out well-received games. And from there, before we go ahead and dive on to the next, the second week of June, we do have a sponsor for today's video. Specifically, we have the World Series of Board Game. WSBG, the World Series of Board Gaming, is coming back for its 3rd year. This is an event that I've generally been a huge fan of. I've enjoyed going. They have a ton of things to deal with, both from competing for the games themselves, and that's not just competing for the title of the World Series of Board Gaming or whatnot. That's also competing for $40,000 in prizes, and there's going to be a ton of events. They have an open library, so if you are literally just there to have fun, this is one of those events that's going to be in that, smaller range where it's not so overwhelming. This is not going to be a giant, overwhelming amount of people, but it's also not so small that it's empty. It is a nice size range that you'll enjoy being able to just sit down and play games using Dice Tower West's library, so you'll have access to an absolute ton of games to keep you occupied the entire time, even if you're not competing at all. But if you are competing, which is one of the reasons to go to this one, this gives you the opportunity to go ahead and pick any of the 16 games to go ahead and compete in, to work your way up to slowly become the world champion of board games, to hopefully get your way there, or even just win at that one game. If you're really good at Castle of Burgundy, you can get the ring for the Castle of Burgundy World Champion of 2024. You can get that, and I will be trying for that one. I'm going in for Castle of Burgundy and hoping that I actually make far enough. I think I'm good at Castle of Burgundy. I also think I'll be stomped along the way. But past that, they have continued to add so much this year. They've added event after event. They've added tons of ringside tournaments and championship things. If you scroll through these pages, you will not run out of things to pay attention to and do. They have a lot of sponsors, a lot of people. The designers of Lost Winds of Arnak are going to be there, as well as a lot of other designers. Dice Tower is going to be there. A ton of people, content creators, companies, events, everything. This is an event that is definitely going to keep you engaged the entire way through. And if you use the code ALEX at checkout, you'll save $25 off your ticket as well, and the link to that is down below. Past that, moving on over here, we have the Artefacts. Artefacts is going to be coming to you from Fabulous Factory. Build your artifact and prove its worth in the arena. Again, don't know a ton more about this one, but that's what we have right now. We have that's going to be a June 10th campaign. We're entering the second week of June now. We have the Pirate Republic, Africa Gambit. This is another one that I talked about, I think, last month. It looks like it got pushed off, so we'll be launching this month instead. We have Take the Throne from Death Trap Games, launching again in that June 10th, June 11th range. I don't have a ton of information on this one. It's a fast-paced tactical card game where 3 to 5 players will be constantly second-guessing their opponents in a race to reach 8 victory points. It does sound like a few of the games we're covering today do have an area of bluffing, negotiation, and all that in them. We also have over here, we have Rise of the Wastelands, the 4X post-apocalyptic game from Wolfhorn Games, where players are going to be dealing with resources, remaining survivors trying to rule the Wastelands in this one. And then over on Back Kit, I don't know if this is a Back Kit or a link to Kickstarter. I'm always unsure when we have these Back Kit call to action pages. I assume it's Kickstarter, but we'll find out. But we have One Deck Dungeon, Relics of the Forge, the 3rd implementation, I want to say, of One Deck Dungeon. There was One Deck Dungeon, there's like Forest of Shadows or something like that, and then there's Relics of the Forge. I think it's the 3rd implementation. I could be mistaken. Does it say on it? I don't know. But it's continuing these series of One Deck Dungeon, diving into this, well, kind of solo puzzle game that is going to be giving you, kind of a dungeon crawler, but a bit more abstract in the way it's operated over here. Generally well received, but again, lots of expansion, lots of content out there. We also have over here Dark Blood from Meeplepug. This one's got 7,000 people following the campaign already. Very intrigued by this one. I don't know a ton about the game. The aesthetic looks fine. The aesthetic looks very unique, dark, gritty, and all that. Well, I guess dark and gritty is not that unique these days. I mean, we even have Grimcoven earlier on this page, and I think we have others coming to you with that aesthetic. But the game looks intriguing. I want to know more about it, but so far interested. We also have over here, we have second edition of Trekking the World. Trekking the World coming from Underdog Games. This is not just a reprint, this is a second edition. They are cleaning it up, they have a solo mode, an expansion, they've made adjustments to the gameplay based on player feedback, and that's going to be coming back to Kickstarter, well, in June, I believe. We also have Road to Hollywood. Shoot your own movie, invite friends and family to join in this brand new cinematic roleplay adventure. Roleplay does mean it's probably not for me, but 700 people following the campaign does mean there is an interest in this campaign so far. We have Tsukuyumi. Tsukuyumi is coming back to Kickstarter with returns once more with all new expansions and a full reprint. Tsukuyumi has been in multiple editions of the game. In general, they have the original standee version, then they have the deluxeified miniature version, which has gotten mixed feedback. If you are interested in this game, make sure to look into the game and the feedback around it. Overall, it's a very well-received game. I still need to dive into my copy. I do know the miniatures. Some people love the miniatures and really think it adds to this completely asymmetric, area control game where every faction is completely different. And some people are upset that it makes the readability and usability a little harder, especially when you're relying on that level and depth of complete asymmetry of the factions where you have to know what's going on. To me, it seems like one of the games a type of game that I would personally probably really enjoy, but also not necessarily keep because of the nature of the way I table games. I think it's one of those games that might require frequent tabling to really get the most from it. But it in general has very solid ratings. You should definitely check that out if you're interested in it. We also have Flames of Fafnir. Currently launching June 18th from Lucky Duck Games. Flames of Fafnir is going to have you with that little giant meeple dragon, not little, the giant meeple dragon, or alternatively, giant dragon, not meeple, the giant dragon, giant miniature dragon, or alternatively, I believe there's a standee version as well for the different versions of this game, and Flames of Fafnir is going to be not really a tableau building game, but an action-driven game where you're going to have your hero trying to protect the village from this dragon who's going to be rolling little fireballs down towards the village to destroy you. You are trying to make sure that your walls block things, your buildings get in the way, you're trying to get as many points as possible as you optimize around what you build and how you take your actions, working together with other players to protect the village, and yet you're not actually working together because there is only one player. And even one player can take control of the dragon along the way to be able to operate against the other players, so you have to make sure you're on top of what you're doing as you go through this to keep the dragon away from the village. We also have Railroad Tiles. Railroad Tiles from Horrible Guild. This is going to be a tile version of Railroad Inc., a game I thoroughly enjoy. I am curious whether they'll manage to capture the feeling and enjoyment of Railroad Inc. in a tile-laying game. Like, does Carcassonne plus Railroad Inc. result in a great game, or is it something I'd rather just play Railroad Inc.? Time will tell on this one, but 8,700 people want to know along with me. We also have Unstoppable, coming from Renegade Games. Unstoppable, designed by John D. Clear, a 1 to 2 player game, a solo or cooperative game in which you're going to be building and developing cards. It does have card crafting, but not in the typical way you're used to from John D. Clear. Very different system in the way it operates. I will have coverage on the game you can check out, but I think there's already coverage out there if you want to see if there's a game for you. You can generally see, like, I think One Stop Co-op Shop is very favorable on how much they enjoyed playing through this one, but I'll have my review coming out at some point, but I can tell you right now, I definitely did enjoy it. But it's basically kind of a roguelike kind of approach. You're going through a solo adventure, you're trying to build things out and build out your deck and cards while dealing with progressively more dangerous enemies along the way. We also have over here, we have Piru Summoners, a handcrafted wooden strategy game, which I don't know a lot about, but I can tell you it looks absolutely deluxe, and just in terms of the pieces look amazing. The pieces look amazing. I'm very intrigued from there. We also have Incubo from Mojito Studios, a game that I don't know a lot about. Tommy and his cat Alpha fight their fears and nightmares to save their sister Nina, kidnapped by the night monsters. Mojito Studios had a few games so far. I'm intrigued by this one. It looks very different in terms of the general presentation and styling. Almost looks like a very dark version of, what's that AEG game with the sheep? I can't remember what it's called. There's a sheep game from AEG, but it looks like a darker version of that. We also have Nightshift. Nightshift is going to be a very unique game and theme, which you may be either really interested in or possibly really not. There's likely going to be extremes on this one. Nightshift is taking an adult theme of, strip club dancers and trying to give it a Euro approach. From what I understand, the game is trying to take a tasteful approach to an adult theme. Like, make no mistake, this is an adult theme. I don't believe there's any nudity in the rulebook or the game itself, but it definitely is leaning into a very specific theme, which might turn you off entirely or might make you very interested. There are currently 7,300 people following the campaign, so kudos to them for being able to take something that is potentially so divisive and managing to bring an audience forward who's interested in their approach to the way this is being done. We also have over here, coming up, we have HEXplore It, The Mountains of Godai. Launching in the 3rd week of June by now, we have HEXplore It, which is continuing the HEXplore It series with the Mountains of Gadai, which does seem to have more striking visual artwork compared to the usual HEXplore It series. HEXplore It in general is a very well-received game that has had anything from campaign modes to a ton of themes, but it's basically a game you're going to be building up your characters and going on adventures and dealing with all these things, and this one looks more visually interesting. Like, they really try to make this one pop in terms of the color palette on this one compared to some of the other games. I'm intrigued by this one. I've always been intrigued by HEXplore It. I've never actually tabled it and always been interested in this one, launching in the 3rd week of June. Then we have over here, we have Peaks coming to you from Tangerine Games, who brought you, oh my gosh, Nestlings. They brought you Nestlings, and they also took over another game as well. They took over that racing game whose name I'm blanking on at the moment. But we have Tangerine Games. They're bringing Peaks, the ultimate mountaineering board game. Experience the thrill of climbing majestic mountains in this immersive tabletop experience, coming to you from Peaks in this 1 to 6 player experience. We also have Odalin Dungeon of Doom from Dagori Games. Odalin Dungeon of Doom bringing you characters who are going to have both like a demon form and a regular form, which is actually a little similar to Grimcoven, which is a different conversation. But in this large dungeon crawler campaign game, coming to you from the people behind Tenaris Adventures from Dagori Games. So overall, in fact, I actually have a box of RPG stuff on my outside porch right now that I have not grabbed, but I'll do that soon. But either way, Odalin Dungeons of Doom. The miniatures so far look amazing. They've actually experimented, like, I don't know if they have them on the page, but I've seen some of the miniatures on, like, their ads that look very different and distinct. Let me see if I can find them over here. No. They had some, like, one of those things where they did that whole having different materials together. No, again, the miniatures look great. I'm trying to find the one. They have like materials of like stuff where I'm saying the words poorly, but there's things that looked cool that are in their ads that aren't on their campaign page. Dragora, you should put those very cool miniatures on your campaign page because they are very cool looking. Yeah, I don't see them. You can see over here, you're going to have miniatures that will transform in the game. They're not actually going to magically transform. I assume you'll take one, take it off the table, take another one, put it on the table, and you'll have a transformed miniature. But past that, the miniatures themselves do look very cool. That's going to be Odalin in this unique dungeon crawler campaign game from Dagori Games. Then we have over here, we have Sirens. Sirens of the Deep Sea from Forgotten Tales. Explore the deep sea, collect resources, construct buildings, build supply chains, develop your sirens, and fight against different cultures, monsters, and bosses. Choose between scenarios and free mode. Don't have a ton of information about this game. Board Game Co. will be doing sponsored content around this game. Have not dove into the rules yet. The aesthetic and miniatures look very cool. There is a scenario-based kind of campaign situation like the game touched upon. Overall, looks very, very engaging as far as the sheer amount of stuff going on, but we'll find out more, and I'll have more coverage for you. Like, look at this. This looks very cool. I like the theme. I like the aesthetic. Now I'm just curious about whether they can pull off giving you both an engaging one-shot as well as a scenario-based game, as well as a scenario play at the same time. Then we have over here Yield. Yield is going to be coming to you from BFF Games, who've done Hidden Leaders, and Yield is going to be an area control game where you're running around the map trying to place down actions, resolving actions, showing the actions simultaneously, and then being mindful of the strength of your units. You're going to have different units, and you're running with a shared pool of strength as far as how you're going to try to distribute that strength across the units to take control of various towers and score as many points as possible in a game where you're constantly knocking each other out as you engage in battles and combats and try to make sure that your hand matches the battlefield as you move around. We're also going to have Blood over here from Ludus Magnus Studios. In general, I'm interested in whatever Ludus Magnus Studios puts out. This is another one that falls into that dark, gritty, whatever it is. Again, we have a bunch of them that have that kind of red and black and white aesthetic going on right now. So we have Blood, we have whatever the other one was, I forgot, the Demon, what was the other one? Oh my gosh. The Incubo, no. HEXplore It, no, not Odalin. Dark Blood. We have Blood, we have Dark Blood, we have Grimcoven, we have Odalin, all of these going on over here. We have 7,000 people currently following the campaign. I don't know a ton about the game itself just yet. I generally am interested in whatever Ludus Magnus Studios puts out. Some of their games have really worked for me, some a little less so, but they've definitely put out some solid looking games and some solid gameplay. I love the aesthetic of this game. I think it looks beautiful, the way they're presenting it overall. Their games generally look amazing, and the only question now is, and they also have that, like, this is the thing, this is what I'm talking about, this kind of bi-component miniatures, if you do it well, and it does look like they're doing it well, but we'll see how it actually plays out. But yeah, that's going to be Blood from Ludus Magnus Studios. Then we have over here, we have Amrtaka, the Battle for Immortality. Don't know a lot about this one. Only 400 people following this one at the moment, but I did like the look of it, so I decided to show this one. I don't know a lot about the gameplay, but it does look cool, and that's usually enough to have me interested, although obviously backing something requires a whole lot more than looking cool. Ideally. Not for everyone, but ideally. That's basically what we have over there, and we have one more, I think, actually, I don't even know. I think at this point, the last 5 campaigns we have kind of fall into the category of tentatively in June, meaning I don't know for sure if these will be June campaigns, but we'll talk about them loosely, and in general, anything else I've talked about does have the potential of being pushed off as well, even if they were for June. To that end, we have Dead Reckoning Letters of Marque from AEG. That's going to be well, Dead Reckoning Letters of Marque. They're going to be a reprint of Dead Reckoning coming back to Kickstarter, I believe, in June. We also have over here Dabba Walla, which is going to be coming to you from Queen Games, a polyomino stacking game, which again, I believe launching in June, but we'll find out soon. We have Epos, a Genties game from Spillworks. Epos, I love Genties as a game. I still have Genties, although I don't play it as much as I'd like to. I am very intrigued by Epos and how much it carries forward from Genties and how much it differentiates itself. Coming to you from Spillworks, very intrigued by this one. We also have over here, we have a Zoo Tycoon, which I think is a June campaign, but we'll find out. And then lastly, we have DC Superheroes United, which again, just based on the way they're showing the campaign, I think, nope, never mind, I'm wrong. Coming in July 2024, I'm wrong. That information is present. I could ignore that and go ahead and click away from that and ignore everything I did there. Which I think that means that brings us to our picks of the month. Picks of the month over here, for the upcoming crowdfunding campaigns, I generally pick the 3 campaigns I'm most excited about. And to that end, I'm going to go ahead and I will say I am excited about Grimcoven. I am going to refrain from picking it because I think in general when it comes to Awakened Realms titles, because of the fact that I do work for GameFound and GameFound and Awakened Realms do have shared ownership, different companies but shared ownership, because of that I tend to be a bit more mindful of picking their games for any kind of special whatever. I do like Grimcoven, but I'm not going to be picking it for picks of the month over here. But I will say we do have the 3 I'm definitely most interested in. Going in order of least to most, we have Odalin, Dungeons of Doom. Very intrigued by this one. A huge fan of Degori games, although I should say, a disclaimer, that I have done sponsored content with them around a series of playthroughs for Tenaris Adventures, but I'm definitely very interested in Odalin because of how much I enjoy Tenaris Adventures and I want to see how this game develops. Then we also have coming to you from John D. Clear, we have Unstoppable. I've really enjoyed this one and I'm intrigued to see. My biggest issue with this one is I don't care for the theme, but I love the gameplay. The gameplay is very satisfying and very engaging, and I am excited to see more about the game, so a bit of a spoiler to my review and thoughts. And then lastly, a game that I don't think I'll be playing it before it's on crowdfunding, but Railroad Tiles. I love Railroad Inc. and I love easy to table and play games. I am very interested in Railroad Tiles. I cannot wait to see more. It might be a huge letdown for me, I don't know, but as of right now, this definitely makes it as one of my picks of the month. And that is what we have here. That is going to be your crowdfunding, whatever, your upcoming campaigns for the month of June. As usual, a reminder to go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter if you haven't already. Links to that down below. And to go ahead and follow any of these campaigns that you might be interested in, or alternatively, if you're playing it safe, you can just not follow anything. And that way, by the time you remember to spend money in it, the campaign's over and you can focus on the next thing that's tempting you instead. So there's also that option instead. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.